What is this, SmackNPie here. Think of this as a clip from a podcast. You know what, I should do that. Just randomly talk about video games. A Game Awards coming up next week. Super excited for it. Hopefully I do a stream. But today isn't the video for that. Q&A happened related to Dark Deception. It was the longest Q&A. I sat through it all and I made my notes. But today in this video, I'm only going to talk about one thing, and that is Chapter 5 release date, because believe it or not, I still get comments to this day. People telling me on my Twitter, follow me there at SmackNPie, on Instagram, here on YouTube, that people still believe there is a chance Chapter 5 might drop in 2022. I am here to confirm all the things related to Chapter 5 releases, so let's jump into it. So it was revealed, ladies and gentlemen, and confirmed that Chapter 5 is not releasing in 2022. Now, you guys want to Smack? What are you doing? We've been new. No. See, some of you still didn't know. Some of you are not believing me. Vincent Lemmings came forward and said, hey, yo, ain't no chance Chapter 5 is dropping in 2022. He said it himself that it is confirmed 100% for 2023. Now, one of you said that, how can you be sure that it might not, be pushed to 2024? And that I was thinking a little too positively, thinking about 2023 release date. Well, ladies and gentlemen, in the Q&A, Vincent Lemmings said, although it is confirmed that the game is not dropping in 2022, he has a confirmed release month for Dark Deception Chapter 5 in 2023. But unfortunately, as we've seen historically in the past, that those release dates, they shuffle around a lot due to last minute bull crap. We remember when the final release date actually happened, there was a several hours delay on Steam, and a lot of people got pressed about it. Now, I slept at that time because I've been traveling. There was so much work IRL, so I was like, freak this. I'm going to sleep, and then I woke up and started recording and everything, so I missed like an entire day. So that's number one. But I'm not here to talk about all of this. I'm here to talk about one more thing. A fan raised a fantastic question. They said, hey, yo, next year is a big year for indie games, although this year was a big year too, like Bendy and the Dark Revel. Hey, yo, Vincent Lemmings, next year could be a big year. Why? Because Final Fantasy Freddy Security Breach DLC Ruins is dropping next year, and Poet Playtime Chapter 3 is dropping next year. So the fan asked Vincent Lemmings, could that affect Chapter 5 release? Guess what, ladies and gentlemen? It 100% will. And the reasoning for that is actually quite, logical and understandable. You don't want to, mash all of these games up. Each of these games are huge. FNAF is big, Poppy Playtime is huge, and so is Dark Deception on YouTube at the very least. So YouTubers sometimes, if all these games drop at once, they would prefer something that, gets them views. So if FNAF content gets them views, let's say for example Doggo, Fusion Z Gamer, they would probably move more towards FNAF than they would do Poppy Playtime and Dark Deception. They might still cover it, but won't be with the same passion that they would cover FNAF. Or let's say Poppy Playtime and Dark Deception drops at the same time, many people will probably cover Poppy Playtime because it is like humongous. It's gigantic compared to Dark Deception because of its popularity and hype and the spike that it got. So it just makes sense. Just like Bendy was smart releasing it at the time that they did. There is no big game. Like now, tomorrow, Callisto Protocol is dropping, but that is tomorrow. At this point, everybody played everything, kind of sort of like nearly 100% of the game. We've talked about the theories, ending explanation, and all that. We moved on. So it is smart. And that's exactly how it's going to be next year. So let's suppose next year, Vincent Lemmings want to drop Chapter 5 in June. And Chapter 3 of Poppy Playtime, all of a sudden, they announced that, hey, yo, we're dropping Chapter 3 in June. Do whatever you want. Vincent Lemmings will have to move their game release from June to sometime later. Or early, maybe even, push it forward. Or same thing will happen with Final Fantasy Freddy's DLC. Let's say if it drops in August. Chapter 5 was supposed to drop in June, but they moved it to August. Then it was announced that DLC is dropping in August. They would have to move even later than that. Games like FNAF and Poppy Playtime, they tend to take a whole, like, 3 weeks. 3 weeks for everyone to play the game, play the ending, talk about the theories, talk about the next chapter, move on. It kind of sort of takes like 3 weeks. 3 to 4 weeks maximum. 4 weeks. So you need a month gap, then a few weeks gap to hype up the next game. So you see where I'm going with this one? It's not that confusing. So here's us hoping. Here is us hoping that early next year, both Poppy Playtime and FNAF gives a definitive release date, because coming from a Dark Decision YouTuber, Dark Decision Chapter 5, even though it is the finale, it's still in a little bit losing situation if it drops around them. So it would be in Dark Decision best interest if Poppy Playtime and FNAF DLC gets announced release dates, gets announced early 2023, like they get announced early 2023. When are they gonna drop? Let's say June or August or September or whatever. Then Galactic Entertainment can be like, okay, you know what? Let's have a month gap before and after of these games so we can put Chapter 5 in it. So this was a lot of technical mumbo jumbo. Big year, ladies and gentlemen. Super Dark Deception, Monsters and Immortals, 4 DLCs. There's a chance that it might get increased to 5, considering Piggy DLC. We got a lot to do next year related to Monsters and Immortals. So potential 5 DLCs, full Super Dark Deception game, Chapter 5, console ports next year, and FNAF DLC, and Chapter 3, and even Project Playtime DLCs. It's gonna be a big year. It's gonna be a huge year for Dark Deception. It's gonna be a huge year for indie horror fans. Then, not to mention on the AAA side, Resident Evil 4 Remake, Silent Hill 2 Remake. So not only from the indie sides, from the AAA side, fans will be eating, and not to mention the horror movies coming next year. So starting next year, actually starting later this month, I might actually start reacting to horror short films and horror short povs. We'll see what happens. Big things coming. Susu if you're a horror fan. Susu if you're not. I'll see you when you susu. By the way, susu was the slang we used whenever we wanted to pee, so do whatever you want with that information. I'll see you the next one.